Hey, what's up everybody? I just wanted to share with you real quick a really popular Ceruledge build that's been going around for the Delphox event raid. Now, I actually discovered during my testing that it's pretty simple to actually solo the raid using this build. Now, interestingly enough, when you solo the raid with NPCs, your raid timer is not going to be reduced each time an NPC Pokemon is knocked out. In contrast, when you do the raid online co-op with other players, each time a player-controlled Pokemon is knocked out, your raid timer is going to be reduced by the same number of seconds as that Pokemon's level. So, for a really difficult 7-star Tera raid, everyone's going to be bringing a fully maxed out level 100 Pokemon to the raid, which means each time a player-controlled Pokemon is knocked out, your raid timer is going to be reduced by 100 seconds each time that happens. So I'm sure many of you have already noticed, trying to beat the raid online with randoms, it's actually something of a sad reality that the average random you encounter in these online raids is actually going to be much worse for your chances of clearing the raid than if you just had an NPC on your team instead. So, if you've been struggling to beat the raid online with randoms, this is actually a really good strategy to just be able to do it on your own. As for the build itself, it's really simple. We're just going to be bringing a level 100 Ceruledge. We are going to change its Tera type to Steel, and we are going to be giving it a Shell Bell for its held item. For the build, we are just going to max out its attack and speed EVs, and if it doesn't already have an Adamant nature, just feed it an Adamant Mint to max out that attack stat. In terms of moveset, you just need to bring 3 moves: Bitter Blade, Iron Head, and Swords Dance. And for its ability, we're just going to be keeping the default ability of Flash Fire. Now, what this setup allows us to do is during the early stages of the raid, we can heal and sustain up while we charge up our Tera Orb using Bitter Blade. And once our Tera Orb is fully charged, we can Terastallize and switch over to a Steel Tera type, which will give us access to a stab, super effective Steel move into the Fairy type raid boss. Our only concern at that point are incoming Fire-type moves, which Steel is weakened to, except our ability Flash Fire will cover that and make us immune to any Fire-type moves. Now, to be able to solo the raid, you are going to need some decent RNG, which means you probably will need to attempt the raid at least a handful of times. A couple things I noticed during my testing: Delphox is going to be spamming Psychic into you, and Psychic has a 1 in 10 chance of lowering your special defense. So if your special defense gets lowered at any point during, like, let's say the first half of the raid, you're just going to want to reset. You're probably not going to be able to solo it at that point with all that increased damage coming in. Another thing I noticed is when the raid boss nullifies your stats and abilities, it is going to disable your ability, which is Flash Fire in this case, for a single turn, which means we are going to lose our immunity to fire moves for a single turn when that happens. So, if you happen to be Terastallized at that time, and the raid boss happens to cast Fire Blast on you during that 1-turn window, it is going to one-shot you and actually ruin your chances of soloing the raid. Now, I only encountered this exact scenario once during all my testing, so it does seem to be a pretty horrendous RNG situation, but it is something to keep in mind. And finally, when the raid boss nullifies your stats and abilities, it is also going to cast the move Magic Room, which is going to disable your held item, which is our Shell Bell in this case, for 5 turns. Now, during my testing, I have discovered that this 5-turn window is actually the most critical and most difficult part of the raid. If you can survive this 5-turn window, you're pretty much home free, and beating the raid after that should be a pretty simple task. So during this 5-turn window, you are going to be wanting to spam your heal cheers, and it's also a really good window to cast a Swords Dance or 2 to regain those stat buffs that you lost when the raid boss nullified your stats and abilities. So that's the build, guys. That's the strategy. Go out there and build your Ceruledge. Try it out. Let me know in the comments how it goes. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Give this channel a sub. We are also streaming regularly on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Kick.com. We also have a Discord server where you can follow news and updates regarding the channel and upcoming streams and such. You can find all the links below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.